Hi, and welcome to a new season of Bombay Unbounded, the show that highlights some of the most interesting places, people, and events in the city of Mumbai. One undisputed fact about our city life is busy schedules, stress, and the need to multitask. In this episode, I want to share with you a simple technique that helps in planning, organizing, and learning. It's called mind mapping, a fancy sounding term that I had heard of but only got to understand properly after this interaction. Today I'm sitting with the person who invented the mind map back in the 1960s, Mr. Tony Buzan. Hello and welcome to Bombay Unbounded.
Lovely to meet you.
Having done extensive research in this field for so many decades and being a veteran in this field, what would you like to say to men and women out there who are trying to multitask and want to come out with the best possible output?
Multitasking simply means that we try to do many things. And can the brain do that? Now, the fact is that the brain can multitask. As long as it can do one thing at a time, it's actually better. So good multitaskers, when they are tested, they do well, but when they're told, so do those 10 things one after the other sequentially, they do them even better. Both brains, the male and female, can multitask to a little extent.
Right.
But the way to organize the life and the brain is to use planning and structuring of yourself in time.
From what you have explained, a mind map is a visual method with a lot of color, illustration, to look at the whole situation that one is talking about at a glance, to be able to view everything as a whole, and then the mind kind of records it. I'm just guessing. Am I right in saying that? So,
If you were guessing,
yes.
you are a 100% guesser. Because what you've said is as if you were me in different clothes.
How nice. Could you tell me quickly about how you came upon the idea back in the 60s?
I can tell you. It was actually 1949. When I was 7 years old, I then began to study how does my brain remember? Because I was forgetting.
At the age of 7, you started thinking about how your brain remembers. You were a genius, clearly.
I don't think I was any different from other kids. You know.
It was just your curiosity about how your brain processes all that information.
I mean, even now when I'm teaching 4-year-old children, 4-year-old children, you know, they say, Uncle Tony, how can I remember? So I began to realize that my note-taking had no images, no colors. Now you imagine if everything has no color, and memory works with color and image. So in the mind map, you have images. One little image, that's 1,000 words. So you don't have to take 1,000 pages of notes. Colors, you think, oh, so it stimulates the brain. So when you learn and when you think and when you study and when you multitask, the mind map speaks your language. And the brain says, yeah, that's the way I talk. That's the way I think. Wonderful. That's my language. Not line after line after line of monotonous, boring notes. And that's how I actually invented it.
A recent trend that, of course, has very rampant in India and internationally is switching from doing things through handwriting to working on devices. I wanted to ask you in terms of how the brain understands it. Is it a deterrent to a person's creativity? Once schools impose that on students, then parents have no option but to follow it.
Parents do have an option. Because parents, by definition, are teachers. And the main thing to teach every child is to learn how to learn. Not to learn this subject, that subject, this subject, that subject. You've got to learn how the brain works. So when you take notes, it's kinesthetic. It's called kinesthetic. And your brain remembers. So if you only do digital da 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 da, the brain forgets. There's no rhythm. So if you're doing a mind map and you're really thinking, take a beautiful sheet of paper, have your colored pens and da-da-da, and you relax, you become de-stressed. Your thinking is more helicopter, you can see more, and you've got it, and you organize the branches, and then you can number them, and then you think, I want to send that to 1 million people. Put it on the computer, and it goes to 1 million people or 10 million people. So we use them together.
Is it something that can be replicated in India too?
A very good question.
Or has it already been?
Mind maps are now spreading around the world. But every school needs to know how the brain functions, how it learns, what mind maps are, and you'll like the word, it's unlimited, right? And therefore it is
Unbounded.
unbound.